in it, man. So today's show, does black men mental health really matter? Does our mental health really matter? So let me get over here and give some shout outs. I just wanted to preface today's show before we got into it. Shout out to Just DeAndre in the building. He says, salute family from the Palace of Petty. Salute, 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 bro. Shout out to the villains. Salute to the villains. Shout out to Vanessa Wells. Good to see you. Good to see you. Shout out to Sir O in the building. Salute. Let's see who else up in here. Shout out to Shango Zulu in the building. Salute, bro. Salute, salute. Just Ask Shaw. Good to see you. Good to see you. I was just talking about you, Shaw. Shout out to Miss Angie. Good to see you, Miss Angie. Always coming through a hole in down the Chizat. Shout out to Miss Angie in the building. Shout out to Fierce Soul. Shout out to Fierce Soul. Vanessa Wells says, I'm loving these lives. I'm slowly getting out of some of the conditioning that all black male hate black women, which is peddled on social media. Yes. Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. And just like black men, the black male hate for black women is peddled to you, it's peddled to me, vice versa. I was just speaking about that in the previous show. You might have been at this show, Vanessa, where I was speaking on that. How, Instagram and Facebook, they algorithms be requesting me to join, these male podcasts, and all they sitting around and talking about is high value this, high value that, what women aren't, what women need to be doing, and it's the same thing. It's disgusting. But shout out to you, Vanessa. I appreciate your support. Fierce Soul in the building. Salute, my brother. Shout out to my man Mace in the building. Salute, OG. Hey, Letitia. Good to see you. Good to see you, Letitia. What's up, Toya? What's up, Toya? Shout out to my man Bob. Salute, salute. Hey, Queena. Good to see you. Good to see you, Miss Queena. Always coming through and holding down the chat as well. What's good, bro? I see you. Shout out to my man Chuck in the building. Salute, salute. I see you, man. Appreciate your support. Astral Atmosphere. What's good, man? What's good? Willie Rivers. Salute, salute. What's going on? Mark Milliner. Salute. My brother Larry Vaughn in the building. Salute, salute. Peace, my brother. Miss Garnetta Brown. What's going on? What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. Most definitely. I got you. I got you, OG. Anthony Touchstone. Salute, salute. Shout out to everybody that's here, man. Like I said, like and share the show. Like and share the show. We're going to get into it today. We're going to get into this article. Today, we're going to get into this article. So I'm going to start off by sharing my screen. We're going to get into this article today, y'all. So I'm going to share my screen. And let's get into it. Shout out to everybody that's here. Like I said, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the show. Shout out to Third Ward in the building. Salute, salute. Salute, bro. This article is from the American Psychological Association. It says, Black men's mental health matters. Does it? That's why I asked, does it? Psychologists are working to develop more effective ways of promoting Black men's mental health. Now, it says, I'm going to skim through it, but it says being a Black man in America means being my brother's keeper. Being a Black man in America means being my brother's keeper while keeping a distance from my brother because I don't trust him further than I can see him. It's believing the cops don't care about you. It's learning how not to doubt yourself because when you're born, everyone else already does. This is from poet Prentice Powell, written following the fatal police shooting of Mike Brown in Ferguson in 2014. So this is a snapshot of what a lot of brothers are thinking and how a lot of brothers are thinking. Being a black man in America means being my brother's keeper. Being a black man in America means being my brother's keeper while keeping a distance from my brother because I don't trust him further than I can see him. You see that? That right there shows a problem that's already there. That's already there. I'm my brother's keeper, but I got to keep away from him because he might try to hurt me. Let's continue with this article. Y'all pay close attention. 2020 was a year of reckoning about many things, but one central theme centered on police brutality toward black men, sparked by the murder of George Floyd under the white officer's knee. For psychologists who work with, study, and support black men, that incident and the resulting protests were an added call to find better, more effective ways of promoting black men's mental health, said Howard C. Stevenson, PhD, director of the Racial Empowerment Collaborative at the University of Pennsylvania and a national expert in helping people of color address and heal from racism. So, what we see here is they're speaking on how racism has created a mental health issue in America for black men. All of the things that we experience in America that directly is tied to racism, just that alone is creating a black male mental health issue. Us watching us being murdered by police, that creates a mental health issue that is traumatizing. Just being black in America, being a black man. And y'all see who's saying this stuff. These are doctors. This stuff is really going on. What's good, Auntie? So, this stuff is really going on, man. This shit is not a joke. We should place less emphasis on whether black men are resistant to therapy. Let me read that again. We should place less emphasis on whether black men are resistant to therapy, because we're not, said Stevenson, and more on understanding the context in which they already feel uncomfortable talking about their feelings and traumas. Exactly. Now, on Char Willie's show, shout out to Char Willie, she asked, why don't a lot of men, go and get checked out? And, why is that always an issue to get a lot of men to go to the doctor. And exactly what I said is exactly what this man just said in this article. This is why. Because they are not understanding that we're already uncomfortable talking about things. So when we go to the doctor, if all they're doing is telling us something is wrong with us, why would we want to talk to anyone? See, there has to be a level of understanding between the physician and the patient. And that usually is not taking place between Black men and their doctor. A lot of times when Black men go to the doctor, as I said, all they're there to do is to tell you what's wrong. You may not be going in there feeling in any pain or anything. They're going to find something to say, oh, well, this is wrong with you, so I got to prescribe you this. This has been happening to a lot of Black men since they were boys. Since they were boys, something was wrong with them. It started out with them, they're hyperactive. This is a thing that's been going on with us. Where our traumas are not being addressed. They're just throwing prescriptions on it and telling you to go sleep on it. Take the medicine and go to sleep. Hopefully you'll wake up and feel better. This has been happening to us since we were little. This is what's been happening. And now this shit it done spun out of control. They tried to save all the goddamn money and pocket it instead of using it to create the proper resources to help us as men. And now they're going to have to turn around and spend more money. Why do you think there's so many homeless Black men? Most of those homeless Black men have mental health issues. Most of those homeless Black men are veterans with mental health issues. They're not being addressed. They're being ignored. They're not even being talked about because they don't even ask you what's wrong. You could go on a goddamn doctor, they'll tell you something wrong with you. And if something is really wrong with you, they don't ask you specifically what's wrong. They guess and give you a prescription. Well, based on this, it looks like this is wrong with you. So I'm going to prescribe you some hydrocodone. I'm going to prescribe you some Adderall. This is what's going on. We should put less emphasis on whether Black men are resistant to therapy and more on understanding the context in which they already feel comfortable talking about their feelings and traumas. If a Black man is able to find a treatment that is culturally responsive, that he understands, and that embraces the uniqueness of his difference. You see, that's why he said context. It's not just one big old problem that we could lump all Black men in and just say, here, we're going to provide the funding for this and then run the fuck off. No. Raji Black is not like Frank R. James. You see? Raji Black and Frank R. James are two different guys with two different diagnoses. Their problem have to be responded to in a different way. But to most people, since they both did some crazy shit, Oh, well, they're crazy black men, so lump them all in here with the other crazy black men. Not understanding the significance of what's going on. Not understanding the uniqueness of each man. So you don't tend to every man's problem the same way. You don't just lump them all in. But that's what they always done to black men. They just lump us. Oh, here, this for you crazy niggas. Here. Now you got a bigger problem on your hands. Now you got a bigger problem. Let's read this again, because I need y'all to understand this. We should place less emphasis on whether black men are resistant to therapy, said Stevenson, and more on understanding the context in which they already feel comfortable talking about their feelings and traumas. If a black man is able to find a treatment that is culturally responsive, that he understands, because they don't explain shit to us at the fucking doctor. They don't explain nothing. And that embraces the uniqueness of his difference. He is more likely to use that service. Thank you. There is a long way to go toward making such mental health care universal. Stevenson and others say, but psychologists are crafting several promising interventions that address issues that black men face. Besides adaptations of individual therapy, these include community programs in barbershops and other local venues, outreach through technology and social media, and national networks devoted to facilitating black men's mental health and well-being. This is what we need right here. Right here. This is agency on a larger scale. You see, besides adaptations of individual therapy. So besides us just having the resources for the individual who's traumatized, no, we need to make this a national thing. This has to be a norm. This has to be a community program. You see? Agency on a higher level, fellas. This is what we need to be worried about. This is the content we need to be promoting. Things that is based around helping us with our mental health. See? Because this is the type of agency we need. We're dealing with poor health conditions. And a lot of the men who are homeless are mentally ill. This is why in some of your big cities, you see a lot of tragic subway accidents. People getting pushed in front of trains. People getting stabbed up and attacked on trains, on buses. This is why you see this. This is a mental health issue. These men should not be out in society and left alone. What do you think they're going to do? That is like the Joker before he was taken to Arkham. What the hell do you think he was doing? Causing anarchy, causing chaos, doing crazy stuff. Doing things so people can recognize who he is and what he's going through. See, that's what I noticed when I studied the Joker. He did those things because he was crying out. He was crying out. He was letting people know, hey, I'm going through some shit. Hey, I'm suffering here. You see, I'm going through something. You see, that's what all of those crazy things that you saw him doing, because he needed help. He needed help. See, Frank R. James could have just simply stayed at home and took his life. He could have just sat at home and took his life. But no, he wanted to let the world know what's going on up here. See, we gotta look past the surface level of things. Yes, he did something heinous. Yes, he's going to jail. Yes. But now, let's look a little deeper now. Why would he do this? Why would he do this in a time where you know you're not going to get away with it? Because you're crying out. You want people to know that what's going on up here is scaring you. You don't like what's going on up here. See? And then you go out and you do something, you commit an act that's so heinous, people are like, why would he do something like that? You don't know what was going on up here. You don't know how long those thoughts been going on up there. As I said, I'm going to do a full video and give y'all an update on my brother. But he's currently in a mental institution getting help. So this is not a game out here, man. And like I said, this brother is a huge supporter of this channel. Huge supporter. I'm not going to say his name. He's always been in the chat room. Yes, that's how close this stuff is starting to hit home, fellas. While y'all sitting around worrying about somebody twerking a little dusty ass online, while y'all sitting around worrying about this dumb shit, we got to begin to look at things in a different way, man. And stop focusing on goofy shit. Let's get back to this, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Like and share. Like and share the show. What's up, Sexy Red? What's going on? The more that systems, programs, and providers find culturally relevant ways to foster Black men's health, including directly addressing racial trauma and its effects. See? So when you're hearing people saying, "Oh, you can't blame racism. You can't blame racism no more." Don't you know that there's psychological effects from racism that Black men deal with every day? You can't blame racism. Really? Well, tell this goddamn doctor that. Don't tell me that. Tell the doctors this. Tell a psychologist this. Don't tell DS1. Don't tell DS1 he making excuses. Tell these goddamn professional people that they making shit up. The more that systems, programs, and providers, this is agency, fellas. Systems, programs, and providers. You see, systems, programs, and providers. That's agency. How do we provide agency for each other, brothers? Through our teachings, products, and services. Systems, programs, and providers. That's agency. This is what they're saying black men need. What have I been saying since I've been here? Black men don't have no what? We don't have no agency. That's why nobody care about our mental health. See, now it's becoming a national problem because of these random acts. Now it's becoming a problem. Now they want to know what is going on. The more that systems, programs, and providers find culturally relevant. So it has to be for black men, not for just all men. Because we don't share the same significance of our issues with other men. Asian men have problems that only Asian men have. It's the same thing for us. So it has to be culturally relevant. It can't be some generalized, dry bullshit that they always like to give black men. Well, here's the program. Well, the program says right here that this is for all men. It's not specifically for us. When are we going to have some shit specifically for us that specifically address black men? And this is what these professionals are saying. This is what black men need. It has to be culturally relevant. Ways to foster black men's mental health, including directly addressing racial trauma and its effects. The more society will benefit. You hear that? You hear that? If we get these black men together, society will benefit. Even though y'all have always benefited at us being downtrodden. See that? See how the whole goddamn world waiting on black men. If we help these black men, the world gonna benefit. Don't let that go over your head. Added Wisdom Powell, PhD, an associate professor of psychiatry at the University of Connecticut and director of the university's Health Disparities Institute. Interventions shouldn't be just about healing and restoring black men, though that would be enough. She said, we also need to think about how much talent. Black men don't do shit. Black men don't contribute to nothing. Black men don't build nothing. But so why are they worried about how much talent we're hemorrhaging by not providing black men with the proper support? But you niggas want to sit around and talk about hoes all day. You want to worry about if this big booty hoe don't like you or not. There's women out here who care about your ass, black men. You need to be worrying about those women. You need to be trying to get with these types of women. You need to be getting with these types of women. These women who care about your ass, who care about your well-being. Let's read that again. Let's read it again so y'all can hear me. Let's read that again so y'all can hear me. Interventions. This is Dr. Wisdom Powell, PhD. Interventions shouldn't be about healing and restoring black men, though that would be enough. Though that would be enough. She's basically admitting that they haven't been doing the bare minimum. The bare minimum hasn't been done for black men. If we just do the bare minimum for these black men, do you know how better society would be? That's what she's saying. We ain't talking about all the extra shit we do for white men who are on drugs, all the goddamn domestic violence programs we got for these white boys and these firemen and these police officers who can't stop beating the shit out their wives. If we just did the bare minimum for black men, she said that would be enough. That means we're not even getting that. We're not even getting that. So why are we taking our platforms as black men? Why would I take my platform as a black man who has had a black man who's been supporting me, supporting this channel, who's currently in the mental institution because he had a mental breakdown? Because of these same type of women y'all talk about every day. You see why I say, and I've said it years ago, stop talking about these women. We got bigger fish to fry, fellas. Or are we gonna be the motherfuckers in the oil frying? Because see, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And then it's made out to the world that all niggas want to do is beat and harm women. That's what it's made out to the world. But when these white men do it, when these Asian men do it, it becomes a issue that hasn't been addressed. But they don't say that about black men. They don't say that about us. Because this woman just admitted, just as well as the former PhD professor, that black men mental health is not something that people care about in today's society. That's what they're saying. The mental state of a black man is something that is ignored in society. That's why the programs aren't there. That's why the systems and the providers aren't there. Because nobody cares. And being that nobody cared for so goddamn long, now it's becoming a safety issue. Now, see, these firemen who can't stop beating their wives, these police officers, these Italian cops who can't stop stomping their wives out and giving them black eyes, they got programs for them to go to. That's why they don't lose their jobs. That's why they don't make the papers. They got programs that they send these guys to. They got programs for this. They got programs. Where's the ones for us? Where's the ones for us? Specifically for black men. I'm not talking about, well, you know this one, you could go down there. No, I'm talking about specifically for black men. I'm not talking about some government, subsidized bullshit where you go and walk in and walk out. No. The programs have to be what? Culturally relevant. They have to be culturally relevant. You see? That's the way you find relevant ways to foster black men's mental health. Inventions shouldn't be just about healing and restoring black men, though that would be enough, she said. We also need to think about how much talent we're hemorrhaging by not providing black men with the proper support. Oh, black men don't got no skills. Maybe because they're not being honed and trained and cultivated. Black men don't build shit. When did he ever have time to cultivate his skills? When he had to be the man of the house. We had to feed his brothers. He had to feed his sisters. When did he have time to discover and nurture his goddamn talent so he could build something? Oh, we ain't gonna talk about that though. Let's keep it going. It says, think of all the innovators, entrepreneurs, scientists, and physicians there would be if black men weren't being killed with impunity by police officers, and if we were creating spaces for them to heal, grow, and thrive. What the fuck you think the black manosphere was supposed to be? The black manosphere was supposed to be a space where men can heal, grow, and thrive. It was not supposed to be a goddamn sex den, a big ass circle jerk. It was supposed to be a place where we heal, grow, and thrive. What have DS1 been promoting since he been around here? But we don't need to heal, right? You niggas are anti-healing around here. And you think that's some manly shit to run around here and be a broken ass dude. Then you wonder why it is what it is in society. We worry about the wrong shit. Let's keep going. Shout out to everybody that's here too. Statistics and realities. While Black Americans experience similar rates of mental illness as other Americans in general, there are contextual differences. For example, Black adults living below the poverty line are more than twice as likely to report serious psychological distress as U.S. adults who enjoy greater financial security, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Minority Health. Now, I did a show that I will be linking to today's show called Poverty. What did I call it? Poverty. Damn, I forgot how I wrote how I worded it, but I basically played on PTSD. Poverty transfer stress disorder. Poverty transfer stress disorder, where I spoke on how poverty has traumatized us today as Black men, and how deep poverty is. See, poverty is just not you not having money. That's not poverty. Poverty is when you don't have access to a certain level of resources to help you with your situation. I need y'all to understand this, brothers. Stop thinking that being broke and poverty is synonymous. It isn't. It isn't. Poverty goes past your income, because you could be living in an impoverished neighborhood, but you make a lot of money. It still doesn't mean you're not living in poverty. It still doesn't mean that you live in a fucked up environment. The supermarkets, the quality of food is messed up. You got liquor stores everywhere. See, all of that are symbols of poverty. And see, growing up as young black men in the hood, when we saw all of the dudes going to the liquor store and popping bottles and all of that, we thought that that was a level of success. No, that's poverty. Those guys are going and buying them bottles and drinking because they're trying to drink their problems away, because they never had a time to address their traumas in life. So they drink it away. They go pop them bottles. That's what that's about. To celebrate life. To celebrate a way to cover up from feeling the way you really feel. This is why the thumbnail is Charlemagne the God. Because Charlemagne is a guy, of course, who was traumatized. And he wrote a book about it. And I'm thinking about buying his book. Even though Charlemagne is he a funny dude, he kind of goofy. But he talking about something that means something. And we need to talk about it. And he always tells all of the guests that comes up on a Breakfast Club now that dudes need to go to therapy. Dudes need to go to therapy. And I think as black men, we should get that book because he's talking about mental health from a black male's perspective. It's not just some generalized stuff. So let's continue. While Black Americans experience similar rates of mental illness as other Americans in general, there are contextual differences. For example, Black adults living below the poverty line are more than twice as likely to report serious psychological distress as U.S. adults who enjoy greater financial security, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health. As another example, depressive symptoms among Black people are more disabling, persistent, and treatment resistant than they are among white people. Didn't I just say this? Didn't I just say this? So they get help while our issues are just mulled over, swept under the rug, or just met with this general, perspective like, oh, okay, oh, well, yeah, I know your issue. Here, you're going to take those volumes for this amount of days. That's how our problems are treated. And Black men are not receiving the help they need for these problems. But when I said, when Raji Black did his video and then killed his baby mom, basically damn near on camera, I had people telling me that it's not a mental health issue. I had people telling me that this dude is just evil. That it's not a mental health issue. It's not a mental health issue with Frank R. James. For example, only 26.4% of Black and Hispanic men ages 18 to 44 who experienced daily feelings. See, y'all got to pay attention to, y'all have to pay attention to the wording. That's one thing I always do. I pay attention to how people word things, because that tells you their intentions on what they're trying to say. That lets you know what they're trying to convey. Who experienced daily feelings of anxiety or depression were more likely to have used mental health services compared to 45.4% of non-Hispanic white men with the same feelings. When Black men do seek help and would prefer a same race provider, it can be difficult finding Black psychologists because you niggas want to be YouTubers, because you niggas want to go and be on Love and Hip Hop and talk to Brittany Renner and be a therapist for these hoes. Let's talk about that. All you niggas want to be now are rappers, niggas with bags. That's why there's not a lot of same race providers for men with mental health issues. You niggas are 50 years old talking about you still on a block. That's a mental health issue, homie. Ain't no goddamn way you 50 years old talking about, I'm on the block. No, you got a problem, homie. Don't no sane man who's 50 years old, who's thriving in life, who has grown and who's thriving will be thinking about being on a goddamn block. But we rather be on the block than be therapists. You know, cause we gotta be them. I gotta be that nigga. When Black men do seek help and would prefer a same race provider, it can be difficult finding Black psychologists, since they still make up only 4%. All these niggas running around here with PhDs, 4%. You trying to help Black boys, though. Do you care about their mental health? Or do you care if they could grow up and have sex? Because that's all you niggas talking about. Their access to women. Are these boys gonna grow up and have access to women? Are these boys gonna grow up and be sane? Shouldn't you be worried about that, Mr. PhD? Are they gonna grow up and be sane? Huh? Or are they gonna grow up and be functionally crazy like a lot of us millennials are? When Black men do seek help and would prefer a same race provider, it can be difficult finding Black psychologists, since they still make up only 4% of the doctoral level psychology workforce. Though that number is growing according to 2018 APA Center of Workforce Studies data. So that means more men are starting to see that this is what we need. At the same time, Black men's mental health is more complex than statistics. But I keep telling you niggas about stats. Well, the stats say, okay, the stats are just there to help substantiate your proof. It doesn't mean that you're making a profound point. Because guess what? We still got to deal with reality. And statistics is only a snapshot of reality. This is why we don't hone in on the statistics. We have to deal with people's experiences and listening to what's going on. Black men's mental health is more complex than statistics or clinical diagnosis, or clinical diagnoses indicate, according to subject matter experts. This is according to your subject matter experts. So no, it's not DS1 opposing statistics because he's a pookie and he's intellectually lazy and he don't want to read like you goofy niggas will say. No. This is what the subject matter experts say. That it's bigger than the statistics and the clinical diagnosis numbers. It's bigger than that, buddy. Okay? I didn't say it. The subject matter experts said it. Take it up with them. Because of structural racism. Are we talking about that broke, backward system? Are we talking about that? Yeah, we talking about that. That broke system that I keep telling men to stop espousing to live up under their standards. Check out yesterday's show. Because of structural racism and Black men's unique history in this country, their mental health and treatment are intimately tied to factors such as implicit bias on the part of medical providers. Didn't I say that a lot of us Black men, since we were little boys, we'll just go in the doctor and the doctor will tell us something wrong with us? Didn't I say that? I said that on this show, and I said it on Shaw's show. Implicit bias. We don't care about you. Get them out my face. Implicit bias by medical providers. Oh, but Black men, we just be complaining. You know, we just be complaining about shit. You know, that system ain't really against y'all. The system ain't really against y'all. Y'all just don't want to do nothing. The system ain't against y'all. Really? Oh, really? Oh, really? Let me take a break real quick. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let me get over here to the chat room. Get over here to the chat room. Shout out to Isakuma, man. Cartel, salute. Salute, Cartel. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. Shout out to my brother Larry Vaughn. He said the unspoken experimental medication that they are giving guys in correctional facilities and then sending them out in society all deranged. Facts. 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 That's a whole nother thing, my brother. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. Shout out to my brother Larry Vaughn, man. Golden Child, salute, fam. Let's keep this going. Get another sip of water real quick. At the same time, Black men's mental health is more complex than statistics or clinical diagnoses indicate, according to subject matter experts, because of structural racism and Black men's unique history in this country. Their mental health and treatment are intimately tied to factors such as implicit bias on a part of medical providers, high poverty rates, and low access. Low access. Remember, I told y'all what poverty is. Poverty is just not you being broke and not being able to take your kids out to eat at Little Caesars. No. Low access to quality. Quality, remember, I spoke about the food, but in this article, quality psychological and psychiatric services. See, we don't get the same quality of services that the white boy and the Asian boy gets. We don't go to those same programs for domestic violence that those white and those Asian police officers go to when they beating on their wives. We're not taken to the same level of facilities for drugs, for depression, for bipolar, for schizophrenia. We're not taken to the same facilities. It says it here. This is not DS1 just saying shit, you know, just trying to make excuses. No, these are experts. This is what the experts are saying that's going on with black men. Okay? Black compared with white people, for example, black people are less likely to receive guideline consistent care. What did I tell y'all they do? Oh, we know what your problem is, sir. I'll see you in 6 months. Take those pills 3 times a day. Don't forget, sir, or you're going to have an episode, sir. And then they get you the fuck out their face. And then they charge your goddamn insurance card. They don't do that to white boys. They don't do that to Asian boys. DS1 just not saying it. Other men who are content creators who have spoke on this before aren't just saying it. These are facts, okay? Nobody's just sitting around trying. No, these are facts. These are facts, okay? These are facts. Compared with white people, for example, black people are less likely to receive guideline consistent care or to be included in mental health research. See, nobody cares about what black men think about what the fuck is going on in their head until somebody dies. They are also more likely to use emergency rooms or primary care for mental health problems because they have not received appropriate preventative services. For a summary of these findings, see the American Psychiatric Association fact sheet on mental health disparities among African Americans. There's the proof. I'm going to put the article in the description box so y'all can read it and click all the goddamn links. Given such factors, it is not surprising that many black men also harbor feelings of mistrust toward medical and mental health systems, Powell added. For instance, in a study reported in Behavioral Medicine, Powell and colleagues found that everyday and perceived racism, along with internalized masculinity norms, there go that word, there go that norm, with internalized masculinity norms influenced black men's reluctance to seek medical help. That's why we don't seek medical help. That's why. There you go. There you go. Internalized masculinity norms. Why you going to the doctor, nigga? You hurt? What you in pain? You got to mold through this. You got to get this bag. You got to put your, so what if you hurt? Take you a leave, nigga. Taking a leave, nigga. Your head hurt. Taking a leave. We got to get this work done. Work. We're men. We need to work. We're men. Yeah. See, that is a mental health issue. That is a mental health issue. Work. We're men. We're men. That's a mental health issue. That's not normal. You've internalized societal norms that is based on that has told you what masculinity is. That caters to you not wanting to go to the doctor, homie. Because we men and we gotta build. That's why you don't go to the doctor. A history of racism within psychology and psychiatry likewise plays a role, she said. There's racism in psychology in that field. There's racism in psychiatry. But all y'all do is blame the white man. All y'all do is blame the white man. All y'all do is blame the white man. Okay. Keep saying that. For example, in 1851, physician Samuel A. Cartwright floated the idea of drapetomania, an uncontrollable or insane impulsion to wander. Among enslaved people who expressed a desire for freedom, in a similar vein as racial protests began heating up in the 1960s, diagnosis of schizophrenia among Black men became far more common, a phenomena highlighted by psychiatrist Jonathan M. Metzl, MD, in the book The Protest Psychosis. Black men today might not know that specific history, said Powell, but it lives in their spirit a little bit. And it gets transmuted into practices like withdrawing from systems. See that? They're telling us the psychological effects and how it still affects Black men to this day from slavery and racism, man. You wonder why we so radical in nature. You wonder why you wonder why Black men run out of these institutions. They run away from the institution of religion, education. Why do you think? Why do you think? Medicine. Why do you think? Because the level of racism that's there for us. And this stuff has been transmuted all up until today. You wonder why these young Black boys don't want to go to school. You wonder why it's a norm for them to just leave school. Because don't nobody give a fuck about them. Nobody don't care. They withdrawing from systems. Having a mistrust. Something that Black men deal with. Something that Black men deal with. Trust issues, man. Trust issues, because we're always surrounded by enemies. And if we're not surrounded by enemies, we're surrounded by frenemies. So there's a mistrust. Having a mistrust of systems and feeling like systems don't have your best interest at heart. Oh, but we just blaming the white man. We just blaming the white man. This is psychological, man. Shit deeper than what you think. Building blocks for interventions. Shout out to everybody in the building, by the way. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the show. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the show. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Building blocks for intervention. Culturally, competent treatments for Black men take these realities into account, and as such share certain ingredients, say psychologists involved in this work. These include addressing masculine norms. What was yesterday's show? I'm not a psychologist. I don't have a degree in psychology or none of that. But what was I talking about yesterday? Societal norms and how they have jaded men when it comes to relationships. What is the first way? What is the first building block to intervention? Addressing masculine norms, debunking the bullshit like I've been doing, debunking all the bullshit, all the toxic bullshit that has been spewed to men in the goddamn manosphere. Addressing masculine norms. Debunk the bullshit. Debunking the bullshit. Addressing masculine norms. Black men are even more likely than white men to endorse aspects of traditional masculine ideology. We're the real traditional men. Okay? Us. The same men who talk, man, I ain't even gonna go there. I'm about to get on my Nation of Gods and Earths bag. I was about to get on my Clarence the 13X shit. Let me get back to the article, man. Black men are even more likely than white men to endorse aspects of traditional masculine ideology, such as the need to act tough and in control and to avoid emotional expression, research finds. See this? According to Baron K. Rogers, a psychology doctoral student at the University of Akron in Ohio, that is because they have additional reasons beyond those of white men to assume these stances. White men don't have to assert their masculinity. Men who are sure of themselves, they don't have to do that. See how all that shit is getting debunked today? All that bullshit that y'all like to say about black men is getting debunked today, baby. Oh yeah. Hit the like button. It's getting debunked today. All that bullshit y'all like to talk is getting debunked by the experts, not a YouTube nigga. Okay? According to Baron K. Rogers, a psychology doctoral student at the University of Akron in Ohio, that is because they have additional reasons beyond those of white men to assume these stances. Namely, to stave off societal pressures and oppression, he said. The idea that racial factors intersect with unhealthy masculinity norms is also highlighted in the book Cool Pose: The Dilemmas of Black Manhood in America, Touchstone 1993, by psychologist Richard Majors, PhD, and sociologist Janet Massini Bilson, PhD. They argued that poor urban black men, Pookie and Ray Ray, poor urban black men sometimes assume a stance of aloof swagger to defend against the harsh realities and racism they encounter in daily life, which wears away at their physical and mental health. I'm not saying this, the experts are saying it. So all of that, walk around with your chest poked out, letting your woman know that you run shit, and you got to constantly reinforce that by saying it. It's because of trauma. It's because that's the only thing most black men could defend or ever control. That's because of racism, not because we don't want to build shit. And over time, it wears on us. That's why I tell y'all brothers, if you got to do all that, don't even be bothered with it. Because it's wearing on our physical and our mental health. We are allowing these societal norms to break us down, to destroy us, brothers. Because these societal norms, as they just said, racism intersects with them. You see? Let's continue. In fact, such internalized views of masculinity make a lot of Black men resistant to therapy and more likely to seek informal ways of addressing their mental health through barbershops. Barbershop talk, anybody? Look what it says. Such internalized views of masculinity. See, we have internalized societal's norms on what they tell us is normal for us as men. This is what makes us resistant to therapy. This is what made the men around here say, I don't want to hear that hell before you build shit. That's gynocratic. That's feminine. The women talk about that. That's what made them say that. They internalized views on masculinity. That's what made them say that. Emotional intelligence. Nobody want to hear that shit. That's for women. Our brothers are suffering, man, and I always knew that. Come on, man. There's a lot of shit I still deal with every day. The men in my family deal with every day. And not just things, we're not talking about present things, we're talking about things from our past. In fact, such internalized views of masculinity make a lot of Black men resistant to therapy and more likely to seek informal ways of addressing their mental health through barbershops, church, religion, or talking to other family members, said psychologist Earl Turner, PhD and assistant professor at Pepperdine University in Los Angeles. That's who said that, not DS1. Not DS1 Ross from YouTube. The psychologist said that, okay? So when a Black man does enter therapy, it's important to tread lightly as he starts to open up and share his emotions, he said. Because if you push to discuss emotions too soon and he isn't ready, he may decide to not return. And this is what happens to us. We get pushed out of the goddamn therapy sessions because you want to beat us down to talk. My bad, y'all. My bad. Let me read that again. My bad, y'all. It's important to tread lightly as he starts to open up and share his emotions, he said, Because if you push to discuss emotions too soon and he isn't ready, he may decide to not return. Turner's podcast, The Breakdown with Dr. Earl, destigmatizes mental health treatment for Black men and boys in an engaging manner using a psychological science focus. Let me write that down real quick, y'all. I'll be right back. Let me write that down. I need to write that down real quick. Y'all give me 1 second. Okay, we back. We back. I had to just write that down real quick. The Breakdown with Dr. Earl podcast. Shout out to Dr. Earl, by the way. Jessica L. Jackson, PhD, a counseling psychologist in Houston and global diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging care lead at the mental health tech firm Modern Health, has done some of this work with Black men in settings including the VA Greater Los Angeles healthcare system, the Harris Health System, and private practice to help these men identify and become more comfortable with their emotions. She uses a tool called the feelings wheel, which labels the spectrum of emotions from basic to the most nuanced. See this? You see this? When Black men start to gain a more extensive emotional vocabulary, it provides fuel for the next stages of therapeutic work. Addressing past traumas and learning how to communicate more effectively in relationships, Jackson said. She knows they are making progress when they start to bring what they have learned home. For example, when they begin communicating with their partners about their feelings instead of brooding or responding with anger, it's like they're getting unstuck, she said. Or like my brother, the Book of Rona, would say, unfucking yourself. Addressing racism. Culturally competent treatment for Black men also involves directly and therapeutically addressing issues of racism, says Rogers, who is on internship at the Counseling Center at Penn State University. That means making space for clients to identify racist incidents. See? Like with the police. I know all about that. Me and my friends been getting harassed by the police since we was 13 years old. That means making space for clients to identify racist incidents that they have experienced and the feelings that arise because of them. And more important, to understand and work toward overcoming internalized racism. But racism is still not a problem. Okay. The many facets of internalized racism include believing negative racial stereotypes. The big Black man, Pookie and Ray Ray, educated lame, Adopting you, by the way, you do know white men and Asian men don't adopt those ideologies about each other. They don't call each other Pookies and Ray Rays and Brads and all that shit that we made up for them. They don't talk like that. Adopting white cultural values while undermining one's own and denying that racism exists. Rogers explained. Can't keep denying that this shit don't exist. That's a mental health issue. For white psychologists to work effectively with Black male clients, it is imperative that they develop a deeper understanding of racism and its impacts by keeping abreast of the latest scholarship, taking continuing educational classes, and getting training in the area. In fact, for license renewal, several state licensing boards specifically require courses in cultural diversity. White clinicians should also become familiar with the APA guidelines on race and ethnicity in psychology, approved by the APA Council of Representatives in 2019. Among other points, the guidelines state that psychologists should consider their own biases, privileges, and socialization in relation to race and ethnicity and work to address organizational and social inequities and injustices inside and outside of the field. That means change the goddamn system, because the system is broken. It's broken. And they're going to have to change it. Whether we believe it or not, they're going to have to change, because it's going to cost them too much to keep doing it this way. It's going to cost them too much. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody. Got a little bit left. Well, it's actually a lot left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the rest of Addressing Racism, and then we might do a part 2 if y'all want to. Among other points, the guidelines state that psychologists should consider their own biases, privileges, and socialization in relation to race and ethnicity and work to address organizational and social inequities and injustices inside and outside of the field. In addition, therapists should be aware that issues of racism and masculinity can intersect in complicated ways, added Rogers, who is working on a scale to identify and understand how and where these domains overlap. That's very important. That is very, very important. Shout out to the pro-theologists. That's very important. That scale, which has now been tested on some 600 Black men, explores what he calls racist gender role strain. Oh my God. And we've been in a goddamn gender war. Wow. Mental health. The idea that if you endorse specific views of manhood but cannot meet them, it creates internal conflict and stress. For example, some Black men may internalize ideas that they should be good protectors, providers, or role models. But Rogers says if you're in a system that oppresses you or makes you internalize these beliefs but doesn't give you the access to fulfilling them, it causes stress and frustration. You see that? Oh, but racism, that's just an excuse black men are using. That's just an excuse black men are using. Y'all just using that as an excuse to not do shit. Tell that to the experts. Tell that to the experts. In a general sense, encouraging clients to talk about racism opens the door to more fulfilling therapy overall, Turner added. It allows clients to feel that they can talk about anything in this room, he said. For me, that's a really important piece of having that conversation. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody. Stop sharing my screen. Shout out to y'all. I'm seeing people in the chat saying do a part 2 because I have to finish this article. So tomorrow, I got some business I need to take care of offline. So tomorrow, y'all will be getting a pre-recorded video for the day, but I will be back Monday with this part 2 for you guys. But what I need you guys to do is, number 1, hit the like button and share the show. Hit the like button and share the show. If you enjoyed today's show, don't hesitate to donate. The Cash App is going across the screen. Also, what I need you guys to go and do, make sure you go and check out yesterday's show. Make sure you go and check out yesterday's show. It's extremely important you check out yesterday's show because it ties into today's show. As y'all can see, it ties into today's show. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to today's show. If you have donated, I appreciate your donation. I appreciate your super chat, your Cash App, however you may have donated. I appreciate it. Vanessa Wells says, how are systems overturned? Is complacency a part of changing the system? No, it isn't. It has nothing to do with complacency. It has something to do with becoming those people in those positions that can make those changes. And yes, a lot of men have gotten complacent. They have. But you gotta look past placing blame, Vanessa. See, because that's the problem. And see, that comes from racism. They just spoke about this. Gender role strain. The gender role straining created the gender war, which now all black men and women do is sit online and look for shit to blame each other for. When we don't understand that there's a bigger war at hand. You see? That's what we need to understand. That's the purpose of us understanding this stuff. It's bigger than you just looking for somebody to blame to say why you're not getting your needs met and why this is this and why this is that. It's bigger than that. Understand that. They're using that to keep us feuding. You got to look past that stuff. You got to look past it. You got to understand what's really at play. And it goes the same thing for us as men. That's why I was always anti-gender war. I always address men and women. What do I always say? We got to heal before we build. So I told men, don't let societal norms jade you from relationships because that's what they're there to do. And this article is confirming a lot that was stated on yesterday's show. You see? And that is what's important. The key is getting some understanding. See, that's what adults do. Adults look to seek to understand, not to just do this. Because guess what that does? That creates more anguish in black men. That don't help black men. Just like when black men throw your shortcomings in your face, and I'm not saying you specifically, Vanessa, but women in general. You think that that's going to make a woman want to get better? It's not. It's the same thing for us. We got to begin to understand exactly what we're up against. What we are up against. She said, I was actually asking the question because women are being blamed for not being men's peace. Oh, I know the reason why you asked the question. I know. Why you think I said we got to get past the blame game? We need to be moving towards seeking some understanding instead of doing this. Because it's happening on both sides. It's happening on both sides. We both playing the blame game. Look, the article just stated what it was. It creates gender strain. That's what it created, which led to a gender war. But all of this stuff stems from racism, man. And the traumas that came from racism, that came from bias. That's where this stuff come from. See, we got to seek understanding, man. But I appreciate you, Vanessa. I appreciate you for showing support. I know you ain't here to stir up no bullshit. I know that. Shout out to Mace. Shout out to everybody for coming through. Khalif, salute Khalif. Shout out to everybody for tuning into today's show. Andre Harris in the building. Salute, my brother. Make sure you like and share today's show. And we will be back Monday with a part 2. Because I definitely need to finish out this article. And we need to understand what's going on with black men's mental health and if it really matters. Make sure you answer the poll. Get down in the comment section below. And let me know what you think about today's show. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I drop some new content right here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Stay tuned for part 2 on Monday. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. DS1 Ross, Sheep Stay Sleep TV. And remember, brothers, we got to heal before we build. We got to heal before we build because we are our own agency. We are our own agency. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.